Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We're redoing a table again. This is actually a desk. No, it's a dining room table that we use as a desk. But my wife put her monitor on it and scratched the hell out of the top of the surface. So we're gonna redo the table because it just looks terrible. So I'll show you a picture right here before what the table looked like. And you can see we're in the midst of sanding it down. So a couple people pointed out some of the flaws I did on the first table that was the outdoor table, which is we used 60 grit to really get the top surface off, really gritty paper to really take the surface off. Did that again on this one. What I didn't do though on that other one was step it up. So I didn't go from like 60 to like 80 to 120 to 220 grit. So what I did with this one is a little bit different. We did 60 grit on the top to get a lot of the finish off. And then we're gonna go back over it, which we already did, with like a 150 grit. Right, so right in between there. We went over it by hand with a 150, and now we're going over it with a 220. And you can see it's dirty, but you can see it's really smooth, and it's got a really nice finish to it. If you get, here we go. It's really smooth. So you can see there's a lot of dust, a lot of dirt, but the smoothness of the surface is not as gritty. So we're gonna fix that mistake that we made last time, and this time we're going to make it super smooth. Okay, so here's where we've gotten so far. So sanded like crazy. The mistake we made last time, so I went with 60 grit to get which is really heavy grit to get it as much off as I can. Then I went up to basically 100 grit, same thing. And then I went to 220, right? So I get a little more of a smooth finish to it. So not quite completely smooth yet, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw some basically gray weathered stain on it and see if we can get it to soak in. But the other mistake we made last time was we didn't clean it with mineral spirits. So I tried a cheesecloth, which I don't think got as much of the dust off as I really wanted to, so it was a little bit, kind of had maybe a grittier feel to it, and Holly didn't like that. So we used mineral spirits. We wiped everything down multiple times now, and so now when you do this, you get nothing on your hands. It's nice and clean. So we'll show you the next step as we actually put down some weather grade stain onto this. We'll probably give it a light sand to get it a little bit smoother, and then we'll start polying the top of it. The bottom of the table is going to get just painted white. So wanted to make more of a farmhouse style, so I didn't have to sand as much, but we wanted to rough it up a bunch, so the paint stuck really well. So we went over it with the sander as well, but we didn't have to take the finish all the way down for that. So we're going to put some kills on that to make sure it sticks really well. And then we're going to paint the whole bottom white, and then we're going to finish up with the top with some stain. Okay, so quick update on the table. So far what we did is we obviously sanded it all down. We obviously got the top all ready and prepped and stuff like that. But then we flipped it over and we put Kills paint. So it's all-purpose interior primer. So we did that. Did a couple of good coats of Kills. Put that down to make sure nothing came through. Then we got cabinet trim and enamel paint which is just the white base. So we did that, and we went over and painted basically all the exposed, the legs, and then the exposed face parts and stuff of that. We painted those 3 additional times to make sure that everything looks good there. And so now it's like they're nice and smooth. And now what we're going to do is we have dries in 1 hour, weathered gray, wood stain, and so we're going to give this a shot, and so we'll see how this turns out. Okay guys, so as you saw, we put 1 coat of that gray stain on, and it turned out really nice, and it gave it, but the stain is a little bit darker, right? So it's not very watered down, so I just put 1 coat on it to make sure that I got enough color on it. And I wrapped it on the sides and underneath as well, just to make sure that I got a good coat of it on there. Then basically what I did is I gave it a light sanding, very, very light, like a 220 grit light sanding, just to take off any like little, basically just dust or anything that might have been left over. I took that off. And then I took an oil-based poly and I put that over And I did it nice long brush strokes. I used a brush, I did not use a foam, one of those foam pads. Those things kind of just come apart and they bubble a little bit when you're putting it down, which makes it kind of have a not smooth finish. So I did that. I let it dry for 24 hours. So in between each of the coats I did, the gray stain, let it sit for 24 hours. I put one coat of poly on all the way around on the sides and underneath. Did that. I let it sit for 24 hours. I lightly sanded it with the wood grain again, very lightly, just to take any imperfections in the poly off. Very light sanding, so I don't take any of the main poly or the stain off. And then I did one more coat of poly, just one more. So I did 2 full coats of poly, and then I'm just gonna let this thing wait for basically a few days before I put anything on it. It says you can put things on it within 24 hours, light use, they say. Light use means don't use, really. Let it sit for a good 48 hours or longer if you can before using it. But as you can tell, we went from a black table to more of a gray and white looking table for sure, to make it look a little bit more modern. And the finish on it is very smooth. It's not sticky, it's very smooth. And I really like how it turned out. It has a little bit of kind of like the yellowing of the wood grain in it and that sort of thing. So it really turned out nicely. And that's it. So subscribe to our channel. If you have questions for me, please feel free to add comments below. I'll answer them. I answer any comments that you guys put in there. And that's it. We'll see you next time. Thanks.